Good morning. Today we will be taking up the final exercise in our real numbers chapter. The page number is 26 and the exercise number 1.6. There are only three questions and I will be solving one from each for you. The remaining will be your homework. So it is exercise 1.6 of the textbook. Question 1, sum 1. It says 64 raised to 1 upon 2. Now, I told you that nth root of x is written as x raised to 1 upon m. We use the same law here and we say that it is square root of 64. And we all know that it is 8. Can there be a better way of solving it? If this method is not very easy for us, let's do it the other way around. We say it is 64 raised to 1 upon 2. 64 is 2 raised to 6, the whole raised to 1 upon 2. And now we have x raised to m, the whole raised to n equal to x raised to m into n, and we apply this and we get 2 raised to 6 into 1 upon 2. Here we cancel out, we get 2 raised to 3, which is again 8. We can use either of the two methods to reach the same answer. Question number 2, sum number 2. (32 raised to 3 upon 2). Now 32 we know is 2 raised to 5. Sorry, it is not 2 here, it is 5. So what we get is 2 raised to 5 into 3 upon 5. The 5's cancel out, we get 2 raised to 3, which is again 8. For those who don't remember, how did we get it? 2 into 2 into 2, that is 3 times. This will be 4 into 2 and we get 8. Question number 3, the third sum. Here we don't have to find the value, we have to only simplify. And the question is 11 raised to 1 upon 2 upon 11 raised to 1 upon 4. Now our law says a raised to x upon a raised to y is equal to a raised to x minus y. We use this law 1 upon 2 minus 1 upon 4. The LCM will be 4. Remember, whenever you are adding or subtracting fractions, don't do it blindly, take LCM and do it. So we will have 2 minus 1, which will be equal to 11 raised to 1 upon 4, which can also be written as 11 the 4th root. With this we end the chapter. The remaining questions of exercise 1.6 will be your homework. We go over to the next chapter, and the next chapter is polynomials. This is a special branch of mathematics where we deal with unknown numbers. What do we mean by unknown numbers? What we mean by unknown numbers is that the actual value of a particular number we are not knowing. We will have to work on it and arrive at a value. This value can be anything depending upon the question. Then how do we write a number which is not known to us? Simple. We use alphabets. It may be A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z, whatever. It can even be a Roman alphabet, alpha, beta, gamma, etc. These numbers written as alphabets are called variables. Why are they called variables? Because depending upon the question, the x that we have taken can take any value, any value. It can be a negative number, it can be zero, it can be positive number, it can be fraction, it can be irrational number. It can be anything. And therefore it is called a variable. The value of which can vary. That is why it is called a variable. Sometimes we increase this number. Say we make it twice, we make it thrice, we make it 10 times, we make it 1,000 times. But we don't know the number. So how do we write twice of x? Let us say twice of x. Simple, we multiply x with 2, and it is generally said that this 2 cannot have different values. The value of this 2 is always 2, and therefore this is called the constant. And the law says that whenever you have such a mixed number containing a constant and a variable, the constant should be written first, and therefore we write it as 2x. Many a times the x may carry a power. Square of x, cube of x, fifth power of x, 100th power of x. Well, square of x twice. How do we write it? Simple. The constant comes first, and the square power or the power of 2 is given to x. Remember, 2x square is not the same as 2x the whole square, because if we take 2x the whole square, then the law applicable is a into b the whole square, which will be equal to a square into b square, and therefore this will become 2 square into x square, and that will be 4x square. So always remember that whatever power is given to the original number is the power given only to that number. However, if a power is given to a bracket, the power is applicable to all numbers inside the bracket. Now let us take up this term 2x square. It is 2 into x square. Yes, we know this. Then why are we doing it again? Because now we will be using terminologies. The 2 here is called the coefficient, and in this case it is coefficient of x square. The x, like I said before, is called the variable. And this 2 the power 2 is called the degree of x. So we have 3 components: the coefficient, the variable, and the degree of the variable. However, 2x square is only 1/3. This is to be remembered, that though we have 3 components in this, it is only 1/3, and hence any term can have a coefficient, a variable, and the degree of a variable. Now many a times we get a different kind of expression. Only now we said ab to the power x is equal to a raised to x into b raised to x. If you look at this term, we find that we have 3 variables: a, b, and x. A raised to x becomes the coefficient of b raised to x. Same way, b raised to x becomes the coefficient of a raised to x, and x is the degree of a and b. So now we are using three variables in just one term. We can use two variables, three variables, any number of variables in one question. We can say that 2x plus y square. We have 1 and 2 terms. First term 2x, where 2 is coefficient of x and 1 is the degree of x. You will have to remember your laws of powers and indices, which said x raised to 1 is equal to x. So whenever there is no degree written here, the degree to be taken into consideration is 1. The second term is y square. Apparently, we don't see any coefficient, and when we don't see any coefficient, we can always write 1 because it is a neutral number of multiplication. So 1 is the coefficient of y square. Y is variable and 2 is degree of y. Here we have x as variable, and therefore this particular question contains two variables, x and y. Remember, when we say variable, we don't say y square, because this 2 is just the degree of the variable y. In this particular chapter, to begin with, we will not be dealing with terminologies containing anything more than one variable. Now, one variable in a particular question can have various coefficients and various degrees. Say, for example, I say x cubed plus 3x square plus 7x. We have 1, 2, 3 terms, variable x, degree of variable 3 when it comes to x cube, 3 and coefficient is 1. 3x square, we have variable x, degree 2, coefficient 3. And when we have 7x, we have variable x, degree, because there is none written here, 1, and coefficient is 7. So we have three terms and we have the same variable. And therefore this is having only one variable, though it has more than two or three terms. Let us go a step further and write 10 here. You can write any number. It can be a negative number, it can be a positive number. I prefer to write 10. You may prefer to write -1, doesn't matter. Does it contain a variable? Yes. When we write it in this form, this 10, though we don't see the variable, does contain the variable. Let us see how. 10, here the variable is x. You'll ask me, but I have not written it. I'll explain you why. Because here the degree of variable is 0. Now remember, x raised to 0 is 1. I can write it as 10 into 1, which can be written as 10 into x raised to 0, and therefore I can write it as 10x raised to 0. So we have 3, 2, 1 and 0. And here the coefficient is 10. Generally, when we have different degrees in a question having just one variable, then always remember to arrange these degrees in either descending order or ascending order, and therefore if we write it as x cubed plus 3x square plus 7x plus 10, it can also be written as 10 plus 7x plus 3x square plus x cubed. So this is descending order and this is ascending order. That is 3, 2, 1, 0. Here it is 0, 1, 2, 3. For solving our questions, it is always preferable to use the descending order of power. So now let us distinguish or learn a few terms. The first, 4x cubed. For the coefficient x the variable, 3 the power of or the degree of variable. We all know now that it is only one term. Anything that has only one term is called monomial. Now let us add something to 4x cubed. So we have two terms, one here, and I just explained to you that you don't read this as 1, it is 1 into x raised to 0, and therefore it has two terms, Anything that has two terms is called binomial. You find that after 3 we directly get 0. So let us make it 4x cubed plus 5x squared plus x. Now we have 3 terms. 1, 2, 3. Such a question is called a trinomial. Again, when we look at this, we have the power 3 or the degree 3, 2 and 1. The degree 0 is missing. Let us add that. 4x cubed plus 5x squared plus x plus 7. 3, 2, 1, 0. 4 terms. Any question having more than 3 terms is now called polynomial. It may contain 5 terms, it may contain 10 terms. The moment it is more than 3, we call it a polynomial. So we have a monomial with only 1 term, binomial 2 terms, trinomial 3 terms, and anything more than 3 terms, a polynomial. And all these, as you can see, contain just one variable. There is a small exercise, exercise 2.1 on page 32. Of your textbook. Contains 5 questions. I have sufficiently explained all 5 questions, so that also so your homework will be exercise 2.1 and exercise 1.6. See you in the next video.